Now listen, Luke, why don't we start off this interview by you telling me a little bit about yourself?
A little bit. Oh man, I'm really bad at that.
Oh, listen, son, don't worry about that. Let's just let it fly. Be open and honest, okay?
Okay, open and honest. I'm Luke, 32 years old. I don't do well with structure.
Luke? Oh my god, you're alive.
Only on the outside, right? What's next? Oh yeah, I met a girl, ended up getting married. She ends up having a baby. Baby's not mine. Did not see that coming.
Are you homeless or something?
What? No. Wait. Maybe.
How long is this arrangement gonna last?
What, you trying to get rid of me?
Yeah, I'm gonna sell the house.
Why?
What's it to you?
I live here.
You do?
I saw the opening here, and I figured I'd give it a shot, and here we are.
Welcome to Wizard World Virtual Experiences. I'm Jerry Milani, and tonight we're going to talk to a independent film producer, writer, director, actor, everything, whatever you can do for a movie. This gentleman has done it, and he's done it for a film that just came out, available on Amazon and all the cool places that you get movies these days. We'll start that in just a minute, but want to remind everyone that whether you're watching on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, you can go ahead to that chat room. We have some folks in there. If you have questions for our guest tonight or just want to chat, you saw the movie, you want to talk about it, go ahead and do that. Right now in Twitch, Facebook, and in YouTube, wizardworldvirtual.com is the place with our schedule for everything we have coming up. Here's a few things we have coming up soon. On Saturday, Power Rangers Villains and Pirates of the Caribbean and Cabin Fever. So a triple header tomorrow, back to back to back of Wizard World Virtual Experiences here. So all day, you can have that second screen going. You can watch all those panels as we do. Then next Thursday, we have the rewatch of the Magicians panel with Summer Bashil. She'll be doing photo ops over the weekend. Also Thursday, Whiz Quiz, that fun, nerdy trivia game, Survivor style with our own Mike G Does Things. That'll be on Thursday. And the next Sunday, 22nd, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, followed by Hercules, the Legendary Journeys, and then Saturday the 28th, it's Sons of Anarchy. So in the next few weeks, we have a ton of stuff coming up here at wizardworldvirtual.com. The whole schedule is there for everything on the virtual experiences. Also Wizard World Vault. We've got 20 plus years of memorabilia, merchandise, you name it. We've got it going from the world of pop culture. 20 plus years of us doing shows at Wizard World. We've got stuff from all of them and more. wizardworldvault.com. That's the place to go. We have folks already tuned in on the 3 chat rooms. So go ahead and get your questions in there, and we'll get to as many of them as we can in the next half hour or so. So I want to introduce our guest tonight. He's a filmmaker, director, actor, writer. He's appeared in more than a dozen films and TV shows. He's written and produced numerous short films. Now he has his first full-length feature. It's available on Amazon Prime, Vudu, Comcast, a whole bunch of other places. We'll talk about that later. It's called Nothing from Something. He's the pride of Newark, Delaware, Chris Perillo. Hi, Chris.
Hey, how you doing, Jerry? Thank you for having me.
I'm psyched to see
Newark,
you.
Delaware. Not since last Tuesday, right?
Exactly. The pride of Newark, Delaware is a university. You went to UD, right? Also?
I grew up on UD. I went to bars and I crashed all the parties. I didn't go there. I went to Howard Community College years later. I was too busy not going to college.
Well, that's okay because Luke went to UD for a while, so you're just like your character in that situation, right? You went to college, he went to college for a while, and look at you, you're making films.
Life imitating art, imitating life.
First of all, congratulations on the film. I know making an independent film from scratch is like not just having a baby, it's like having 12 babies, right? It's been a while in the making, but talk about the process of getting this independent film made, and then we'll talk about them in general.
So my journey was I always wanted to make movies, and I made a couple of shorts, and those are just get your friends together for a day, write something, and you see what sticks. But the dream is to make a feature film that you can go sit in a movie theater with people and watch. So, and everyone talks about it. Finally, I did it. I started writing it, and then you do a table read, and then you see what sounds good, and then you hone it, and you do that again and again and again, and then you try to find money, and then you try to make money to get it off the ground. And luckily, I had a pretty good network of actors that just, I guess, did me a favor by being in it, and we shot it. So like I what I did was I put goalposts up along the way. Like I said, like let's make the movie, and then we made it, and then I said, okay, now we have to do production. We did post production. I said, okay, what's next? Let's try to get some film festivals, and then we did that, and then we got a distribution deal, and here we are now, and it's been going really well. It's like, you see how far you can kick the ball, and then you see how much further you can kick the ball, and that's pretty much what I was doing. I had no real plan going in except to, like, let's just see if we can do it, and I did it, and here we are.
I think sometimes when folks think of an independent film, or when they watch an independent film, they think that somehow like the acting's not going to be good, or the sets aren't going to look good, or there's going to be something wrong with the story. But this movie has all those things. I mean, the acting you mentioned, there's the actors there. You've been in some things, but these are actors that have been in a lot of other things also. And like you said, you feel lucky. How do you know these folks? Do you know them from before, and that's kind of how they got involved?
Some yes, some no. So that was the goal too, to make it as good as anything you could sit in the theater and watch. I wanted it to look as good and sound as good, because anyone can grab a camcorder or your phone and just go film some stuff. But I wanted it to be a theatrical experience that could get into some good film festivals, and we did. And I didn't want the acting to suffer. So thankfully, I knew a lot of actors just from auditioning. Like the guy who plays my brother, Dan, he's a guy who I met going on auditions. And every time I go on an audition, people would say, "Do you know Dan Franco?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he beats me for every part that I go out for." And they were like, "Yeah, you guys look like brothers. You could be brothers." So that's what like, he didn't have to audition for the movie. I wrote the part for him because it's just easier that way. And the dad character, Rick, I worked with him on a bunch of industrial films, and he's directed stuff that I've been in. And then he said he's always available. He was actually Bruce Willis's stunt double in the Glass movie.
I know he has a lot of stunt double roles, I noticed.
Oh yeah.
But then he has a lot of acting roles as well, which is neat.
Yeah, he's something else. And we were lucky enough to get all these people. And Melissa, the sister-in-law, she does a lot of horror movies. Her husband, she's someone who I didn't know. Dan actually recommended her. Dan runs an acting school, so he has his ear to the ground on who's good, who's kind of not. So we were lucky enough he vetted people for me and recommended people, and other people just kind of showed up to the audition, and I lucked into that. Like, I wrote the part of the sister-in-law, which is my favorite part in the movie, as like a Tina Fey type. And she showed up, and as soon as she walked in the door, I was like, this is not what I had in mind. But she was the only one I considered for the role. She was so good, and I'm writing something else for her because I love her so much. She's just the best.
Yeah, she's got an edge in that movie. I think that relationship that you have with her is really special. I mean, it's right. It's your sister-in-law, but it's like your best friend, right?
Yeah.
It's the one person you can turn to when you need. And look, this character, this Luke, needs a lot. Like, I feel like he's, I don't know, underachiever is probably the wrong word. I mean, he's not motivated. He's someone that makes a lot of mistakes, but he's your protagonist. So how do you make someone who has these kind of qualities that are kind of, how do you make that likable and make that the protagonist? Is that a writing thing? Is that a directing thing? How do you make that the audience roots for this guy? Because you have to.
Yeah, that's, I mean, you have to have the save the cat moment, they say in filmmaking. You have to get on board with the guy. But I think that's the relationship that really gets you on board, because he's a hard guy to like, especially with what he's going through. And my hope was to get people on board, because I workshopped this script at an acting school. Like, I would show up and do scenes, individual scenes, and some of the criticism I got was like, this guy, he's not very likable. And I said, well, hopefully when you see it all together, it will be, and hopefully through the performance. And I think that came through, not to toot my own horn, but I think because of the relationship with his sister, because of the relationship with little Frankie, his little nephew, you show that, like, show don't tell, that he's somebody who had people that cared about him, and he cares about other people genuinely. So that's the goal. I mean, that's the goal in real life too. To like to just give a crap about people and hopefully get that back, right?
We've got folks from Georgia, California, who have said if you're in the chat rooms and want to say where you're from, go ahead and put that in there. We'll let you know. We've got some questions already, so let me get to a couple of them.
Yeah.
Elise says, "What was your inspiration for the film?"
The inspiration for the film it's just something I always wanted to do, I was an actor for a long time, only an actor, but the way the industry works now, and people aren't knocking down your door, you have to create your own content, and the feature film is like the holy grail of like creating your content. So I said, I'll make one of those. And the motivation for this particular story was I was writing a dad thing, just working out my own stuff with my dad's stuff. But then at a bar one night, I work at a restaurant and bar. We were talking about, somebody made a joke like, what would you do if Becky left you? Becky, my wife. I would be like, probably live in a van by the river. And so that was the motivation. I kind of mushed those ideas together, and you watch this guy go on this journey of what happens when he doesn't have anything on his own. He puts all his chips in this one person, and it doesn't work out. So then you watch this guy try to not rebuild his life, build his life for the first time by himself.
Yeah, I think, following along with that, I think this film is about coping with reality and moving on from setbacks and learning from them. What does Luke ultimately learn, without giving away the ending of the movie, but what does he learn? What do you think he learns? How does he grow?
He learns that you got to stop blaming other people for your situation. You have to sort of, I hate to use the phrase, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, but you have to like take responsibility for your life and make it your own. While also there's a lot of noise going on around you all the time. So you also have to deal with that too. You can't just be focused on one thing. You have to figure it out. You have to, and his journey is learning to just accept that life is going to hand you some bad situations sometimes, and you have to deal with that and move forward.
It's going to hand you eggs. You got to make an omelet, or you got to throw them up against the door,
Whatever.
Or not throw them up against the door.
Well, we filmed both ways.
Again, not giving away anything in the movie, but Art Bookout had a good question. Art wants to know what the toughest part among all of those things, the pre-production, set design, casting, you're doing all this, getting in the film, all those things you talked about at the top. What's the hardest thing out of all those for you?
Well, Art, the hardest thing was probably in this particular film was if you watch the movie, there's a big mansion that we had. We called it Hell Day. We shot 19 pages in one day, and we ended up almost getting thrown out of that location. And so this particular day, the daughter of the person who owns the house rented the house, Airbnb'd us the house. The dad didn't know, the person who owns the house didn't know we were filming a movie there. So he called me up and said, get out of there. And I had to say sort of like, look, man, we have the contract. We're good to go. We're not going to mess anything up. And he said, all right, you have until midnight tonight. And we filmed 19 pages, everything we needed to film. I was rewriting stuff, trying to just cram scenes together. So that was the hardest part of the film. But just, you're putting out fires left and right in an indie film because you're wearing so many different hats. You're trying to please this person. People are hungry, so it's just the day to day. And it really did teach me a lot. Like you're capable of more than you think you are. Cause on paper, I didn't go to film school, but I hired people that knew more about that than I did. So I would defer to them and say, what do you think if we did this? And then they would say, well, we can do that, but it would take X amount of takes. And you know what I mean? So the bottom line is just surround yourself. What I learned, surround yourself with people that are better than you and you'll shine.
So the interiors when you're at your brother's house are the same as that house on the outside that we see briefly, or is that just the same house?
That was the same house.
And that's this house. Is this the backyard?
No, that's Centennial Park in Columbia, Maryland. That was actually, that scene right there that we're looking at is Melissa's first day filming. We met up and she just came and knocked it out of the park, and I was like, I love you. Just keep doing that.
That's great. We have another fan question here. Thanks, and keep them up, fans. This is great. Nick Frisoni wants to say that he met you when he was introduced to the local Baltimore, Maryland acting scene.
Oh yeah,
and
Nick.
he runs the Baltimore Media Blog.
Yep. Yeah.
And so he saw the film, and you guys became friends. So that's a great comment from Nick.
Yeah, he's good. He gave me during the making of it. I interviewed with him, and it was my first PR thing for the movie, and he was nice enough to check it out and give us some glowing review. That was really nice of him. Hi, Nick.
Now, I think you're right. I think the CHRIS relationship here in this movie is you and your sister-in-law. There's the other ones along the way. There's a lot of scenes where you're by yourself, but I think that, the scenes with her, do you have a favorite scene with her? And then is there another favorite scene in this film for you?
My favorite scene in the movie, without her, is the job interview scene. And that's with a guy named Rasik, who sadly he passed away. And he showed up. He was a guy, he was in all my shorts, and he was my good luck charm. He was so super talented. He showed up, did the scene in 1 or 2 takes. We tried it a couple of different ways, and he gave so much. He showed up from New York, and that scene just worked. And that's why we use it in the trailer, because it tells you everything you need to know. And he just, with his face, he's just said so much with it. Favorite scene with Melissa is probably the big family confrontation that happens with all of us, without giving anything away. And she doesn't have a ton to say, but she is the anchor in that scene. And if you watch it, she's the one who is sort of playing both sides and guiding the conversation.
It looked to her to be the arbiter.
Exactly.
Who's decided, or what's the right call here, because everyone's in peril, and that's all the relationships are in peril in that scene.
And she's steering
all 4 of you, all individually, are all in peril with each other in that scene.
Yeah.
Except maybe your dad and your brother.
Yeah.
They seem to, but that's a dynamic of everyone's. I think you can look at this movie and people can look at it and think that they're you, because everyone's had that job interview. I've had this job interview. Everyone's had this job interview where you go and you start talking and you go, oh, and the guy looks at you and I had a guy hand me back my stuff just like that. No, it's okay. I don't need to see it now. I know enough. And look, and you go out and you learn from it. You do, do the next thing. But you're right. I think those are 2 great scenes for sure. Which is neat. So Evan Casey has a question. Wants to know the most difficult part of the distribution process, just getting eyes on the film. How do you get someone you create this thing? It's great. It's awesome. How do you get the right people to see it?
Yeah. So that's something I went into this not even planning on. Like I said, I had goalposts. I would say, okay, so we're going to film it, and then we're going to do the sound, and then we're going to do this. Then it came time to getting into film festivals. So I got into some really, really great film festivals. I got into Studio City Film Festival in Los Angeles, and I won an award there, which I just showed up to get my picture taken at the thing, and then I ended up winning an award, which was amazing. So if you get a little bit of prestige behind it, you can get eyes on your film. And it's also about who you know, and kind of being a little shameless about just sending it to people who you think might pass it along to somebody who knows somebody, you know what I mean? So it really is without you have to ride that line. You can't be desperate, but you also have to be a little bit shameless, just say, here's my movie. I poured everything I have into it. Take a look. And if you like it, pass it to who you know. So there's really no right way to do it though. I lucked into a distribution deal with Wild Eye, and it worked out because we're on these great platforms now, and a lot of people are seeing it. A lot of people are liking it. People I don't even, people I know are, of course, are going to say, wow, great job. But people I don't know are coming out of the woodwork saying, wow, this is like genuinely funny.
Yeah, that was another question I was going to ask, and it's a good follow-up for that is, what feedback have you gotten about the film from outside? What feedback have people said to you that you've kind of taken to heart, or that you think is right or wrong, or what have you heard?
So we're in the beginning stages of that. Like at the film festivals, I heard that it was a little too short. That was like one of the criticisms. It's an hour and 6 minutes, but that was on purpose because nobody wants to sit through a 4-hour opus of a family drama because we do that on a daily basis anyway. Um, but the feedback has been really kind of overwhelmingly positive. It's an easy watch. It's something everyone can relate to. And people who have been through breakups and divorces, especially, have come out and said to me, this is like a little too close to home, but it's also therapeutic in seeing that this is a thing that somebody else has been through.
Yeah, no, and the family, everyone has this family dynamic to one degree or another. I think in this film it's exaggerated, but in a film you exaggerate things to show that, to make it kind of, fit. But I think that a lot of people can relate to different characters. Now, all right, you play Luke, but do you relate to him the most in your real life, or do you relate to someone else in this film? If you looking from the outside,
I think from years ago, I relate most to Luke because I am, I guess, considered the black sheep of my immediate family because we don't have any artists or anything like that. And I went off and did my own thing and nobody really got it. So in that respect, it's that. But I kind of peppered in uh, things that I know from other people to fill out the rest of the cast. But there's a little bit of me in there's a lot of me in Luke. But the other relationships, there's stuff peppered in. I wrote it, so it's gonna be overflowed into the other characters too.
couple more comments from viewers. And again, if you've got something to say about the film, you've seen it, you want to talk about it, or you just want to ask a question of Chris, go ahead in the Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching, and put those in there. Robert Neal Marshall wants to say Chris is awesome to work with. He's going places. Congratulations. From Robert. Maureen Coyle said, I'll rent the film tomorrow night. Sounds awesome. So if you're interested in the film, Amazon, we have the link down there at the bottom. You can write down, but just if you go to Amazon.com, you can just search Nothing from Something. Or what are some other ways, Chris, that people can see the film?
So we're on Amazon Prime. We are on Vudu. We're on Microsoft Xbox. We're on Fandango now. We're on Comcast On Demand. And we are on, we're going to unroll into other platforms as we go on. So just keep searching for it. You just do a Google search, Nothing from Something movie. And it'll start to broaden.
What's a lesson that you learned from all those short films that you applied to putting this all together and making this your first full-length feature?
So when I went into this, I had only done day-long, except for my first short film, but like mostly day-long little kind of sketches. So what I did was I kind of had to trick my brain into going into each day saying, okay, you're making one short film today. We shot the film over 7 days, which was not enough time. So I went into every day saying, okay, this is the film you're shooting today. These are the pages you're shooting. So I treated every day like a short film. So I think that tricked my brain into really being able to do this.
I know you had mentioned that one scene with, did you shoot mostly in order, or did you shoot based on availability of that house, or how are you able to, because famously some movies are shot, the last scene is shot first, and famously a movie like Casablanca has this, I guess that the myth that no one knew what was going to happen at the end, even though it's probably not true. How was your timeline of shooting, and how did that affect how it went? You think?
It was all over the place, just based on location availability mostly, and actor availability. Some people weren't available on certain days, but we lucked into some really good locations. The courthouse, one of our associate producers, Anthony Green, and Cheryl Green, she works for the town, and she had, one Saturday, she just gave us the keys to the place and said, don't break anything. And we didn't, thankfully. But yeah, and the dad's house was my dad's house, which was being sold a month later. And so I told my dad, I said, look, we need to shoot a movie at your house. He was like, I guess fine. I said, but you can't be there. So I got you a hotel by Delaware Park. You're going to go
Couldn't
there.
give him a bit part or something, man in window.
He wants nothing to, he's from Brooklyn. He's like, what are you making a movie for? Where's this going to be? He still doesn't, I don't think he's seen it. But he goes, I said, look, here's $50. Go bet on the ponies for a day. Don't come home because they're going to be dancing naked in the basement in a scene. And he goes,
Burgers and fries will never be the same. You're right.
that's right. He goes, what kind of movie is this? And so I had to like just shamelessly, like I said, just kind of either trick people into letting me do it or beg for it. And we lucked into some really good stuff.
No, the locations are great. I mean, it's Maryland, but it didn't have to be Maryland. It could have been kind of any town that's upscale enough that someone can live in $1 million mansion, but also close enough to where people live just kind of scraping their world out, which is kind of the way Maryland is, as I've lived there for a few years.
The dad's house is actually in Newark, Delaware too. So
there you go.
There's a couple of Newark references in there. I threw those in just for my Newark homies.
It's great when you can do that. Hey, look, it's your film. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Hopefully nobody sues me.
Getting some more great comments from people and some questions. Some of these were ones I was going to ask anyway, so I'm glad the Art book out again is what are you writing now? And Garrett Valencic, same thing. Anything new in the works? What are you working on now that you can talk about?
Yeah, I'm writing another feature. It's kind of it's a road dramedy. It's got some of the same sensibilities. I'm not going to write like a high concept fantasy film just because you can't shoot that as an independent filmmaker. So it's like another family dramedy that goes on the road. It's almost there. And hopefully when all the world gets back to semi-normal, we'll get back together and a couple of the same folks will get back together and we'll film that. I have to it involves a food truck only because I want to spend 2 weeks on a film, on a food truck. So, there's a food truck element to it and there's going to be some cooking. And I watched the movie Chef and I said, that looks like fun. I want to do something like that. And there's a little bit of that in there too. So that's probably going to be the one we do next. And my dog's going to make a cameo right now too.
Good, please. Supposed to. Yeah, it's part of the process. Yay. What's the dog's name?
This is Dewey.
That is awesome.
Yeah, out of the whole world.
A cute little dog, huh?
Yeah, this is a
little baby
retriever. He's 12 years old. He's my old man.
That is the best. That is the best. Have you found that this time since March 9th or whatever time we've been locked down since has been more prolific for you writing, or has been more difficult to sit down and write?
Well, with 2 kids, I have 2 kids. It's always a nightmare finding time, but I think that's one good thing that will come out of this. I think a lot of people are just going to come out of this with really, really good art and a sense of self and stuff like that. But for me, I've had time to sit and just think about the thing that I'm writing and nothing else. So I think it's going to be really good in terms of script. It's a matter of, again, climbing up that independent film mountain. It's going to be more difficult to film, which is good. You challenge yourself. But I think as far as the writing, I think this has helped me in that regard.
And when did you go into my basement? I don't remember you being there to film this.
Is that your shake weight back there?
Yeah, it certainly wouldn't be anything I use. Tom Huddock has a question that you may be helping with. He said he's writing. Tom says, I'm writing a shorts and I have the skill to get the production done, but the promotion and distribution seems daunting. What would you suggest to someone who's getting through their first film?
For short films, just, get it on Vimeo, get it on YouTube, and just post it in, depending on which route you wanted to go and depending on how good it is, I say get the best quality sound and video that you can get. If you want to go the film festival route, it sucks to say that film festivals really won't give you the time of day unless it looks and sounds like a real movie. So crew up, do the best you can in terms of sound, video, get people, like I said, get people that know more than you in those areas. So you don't have to worry about that. Scorsese said, I don't want to have to worry about the frame when I'm worried about the performance, or, you know what I mean? So crew up with people that you can trust, that are better than you. And if you want to go to film festivals, submit to as many as you can afford, as many as you can, and um, be in contact with people. Like build yourself a tribe of people that you can rely on and call back if something's screwed up and you have to redo it or something like that. You got to be a little shameless. You got to be really shameless in this industry. And that's the best advice I can give you. Find yourself a tribe of people that are on the same page as you and that elevate your game. Because this movie, first of all, wouldn't have happened at all without the people involved. Second of all, everyone in the movie is better than me in every regard, but it made me better because of that. You know, I showed up with a what I think is a really good script, and everyone brought something completely different to the table, and it all came together.
You know, that helps when you have a collaborative effort of people who understand your vision, but then also bring their own, like you said, some people you knew, some people you didn't. And,
Yeah.
you know, when someone walks on the set and takes a character and brings it to another place, now you want to work with them again. It makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
Tom Huddock says, thank you. Very helpful. Appreciate your insights. Another question from a fan, and we got into this a little bit, but you can talk maybe in a little more depth on it. Tracy Lynn Oliveira wants to know what your favorite part of the Delmarva area is in terms of theater and filming. You talked about how you shot some stuff in Maryland and some stuff up in Newark. What's your favorite part about that area in filming?
It's hard to pick one. I think it's all kind of just rolled into one ball. Like I went to Howard Community College in their theater program, and I worked with Casey Campbell on a couple of plays, and she's Helen Hayes, award-winning director. And I was lucky enough to just sit in a classroom with her and go to her office and just talk about stuff like that. So I just think the accessibility to theater, and it's a small but thriving independent film community here that's kind of rolled into the same thing. There's really not one part because they're all the same, you know? So if you wanted to get involved in acting and filmmaking, it's not that hard because they're all over the place. It's the second biggest theater community in the country behind Broadway. So, but it's more spread out. That's the thing. So if you wanted to get involved, it's very easy to find people that will help you out.
Who would play you? I know the story of your life is not yet told, but up to now, who would play you in the story of your life? And when are you making that movie?
I mean, hopefully me if I was casting it, but I get a lot of Chris Pratt. So he'd probably, or maybe Dan Franco, the guy who plays my brother, because he used to beat me out for a lot of parts. So between those two, depending on who's making the movie.
You know, the biggest disappointment for me in this movie was when the credits rolled, and you know, honestly, there was no woman with stroller was not credited. So we'll leave that to that. We're talking here with CHRIS Perello. He's the writer, the director, the lead actor, filmmaker, the producer, everything you could do to produce, get a movie together. Nothing from something. He's done it. I have one more question, and then we'll watch the trailer again as we go out. And this is a great one by Death by Squirrel Productions. Wants to know, if you had an unlimited budget, what's a genre you would like to work in? Maybe, you know, something that couldn't be possible. You mentioned a little while ago, you know, the kinds of studies that you might not be able to do on an indie. But if you had, you know, the Spielberg budget, what genre would you want to work on?
Two answers to this. So if somebody gave me unlimited money, I would make a bunch of littler movies, probably, because that's in my wheelhouse. But if I could, I mean, my kids are named Luke and Leia, so I would definitely do something in that realm. Or like I'm obsessed. I'm actually writing something that I'll never shoot, a time travel thing. I enjoy the concept of time travel just because there's so many ways to screw it up. And just as a writing exercise, I would love to do like Back to the Future trilogy is one of my favorite things that exists. So that would be something, if I had unlimited money, I would really hone in on a time travel thing and see if I can mess around with that.
Do you think Luke ends up with Pam down the road?
The original ending.
Without talking about the real ending or anything about the ending.
I don't. I think that was, I think Pam in this movie is a link to his past to kind of merge the past and the present together, and that's the bridge for him to move on with this. I think she's a person that he needed to revisit at the time in his life, but I think she not settles. She settles in on she loves this guy that she's with, and she loves him for who he is, and she's sort of like Luke helps her in that regard too.
Nostalgic Pod Blast. So same here in Atlanta about local filmmaking. The 48-hour film race challenge is a blast in several cities.
Oh yeah.
Like what you did. So Chris Perillo, I want to appreciate, thank you for taking some time tonight to offer up some words on this film. Just talk again about where people can get it besides Amazon.
Yeah, so we're on Amazon Prime, Vudu, Fandango now. I had this written down. Vudu,
Comcast. There's a whole bunch of places, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much any place you can get
Google,
it.
search it, and Nothing from Something movie, and you can find it on different platforms. And if you have the, what do you call, the Amazon Fire Stick, I think you can just kind of search it in there. I don't know anything about technology. I don't know how this computer's working right now.
You got on tonight. We talked. I didn't mess it up here too badly. I was able to change the things and not
You're great.
explode my computer. We figured it out. So the film, Nothing from Something, it stars Dan Franco. It's of course it stars Chris. It stars but Jack Franco is Frankie, the kid, who's great. Aaron Davis is Pam. And I want to again appreciate you taking some time today. We're going to watch the trailer on our way out, but again, thanks for everyone for participating tonight in the chat rooms on Wizard World virtual experiences. Just want to remind everyone what's coming up in the next few days here at Wizard World. I want to make sure you got the triple header action going tomorrow, or with Power Ranger villains at 1 o'clock, Pirates of the Caribbean 4 o'clock, Cabin Fever at 7 o'clock. That's all Eastern times. And then Thursday, we have the rewatch of the Magicians panel from a few weeks back with Summer Bashil. Thursday, we've got Whiz Quiz. And then next Sunday, the doubleheader with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Hercules, the Legendary Journals. But tonight, we were talking about another film, and that was Nothing from Something. Chris, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you, guys.
And thank you for joining us on Wizard World Virtual Experiences. Enjoy the trailer, everyone.
Now listen, Luke, why don't we start off this interview by you telling me a little bit about yourself?
A little bit. Oh, man. I'm really bad at that.
Oh, listen, son, don't worry about that. Let's just let it fly. Be open and honest, okay?
Okay. Open and honest. I'm Luke. 32 years old. I don't do well with structure.
Luke? Oh my god, you're alive.
Only on the outside, right? What's next? Oh yeah, I met a girl. Ended up getting married. She ends up having a baby. Baby's not mine. Did not see that coming.
Are you homeless or something?
What? No. Wait. Maybe.
How long is this arrangement gonna last?
What, are you trying to get rid of me?
Yeah, I'm gonna sell the house.
Why?
What's it to you?
I live here.
You do?
I saw the opening here, and I figured I'd give it a shot, and here we are.